Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to yet another exclusive interview with the Ladies First panel. Okay, we have the lovely Miss Monique Samuels that's getting ready to grace everybody's presence in just a second. Okay, we want to make sure that everybody follow us over there on the Twitter. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Okay, you can also follow us individually at Bondy Blue, at Jami ThatsMe, and Necey Dixon. Okay, well, what's going on, ladies? How are you all?
Girl, we're making it.
Making it. Listen,
Yeah,
that's
we
what it is.
good.
Okay, we making it. We making it.
I
Everybody
just
has their
wish it was after
drinks.
5. No, that's what I was about to say. I just wish it was after 5 so I can have my wine. I'm drinking water right now.
Coffee.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, coffee.
Mm,
I had some coffee earlier. Yeah, I got to get on my water for the rest of the day. You
right.
know, got to get that in. All right, y'all. Go ahead and like the video as you guys come on in. Okay, as you come in, be sure to like the video. We're gonna go ahead and bring Miss Monique Samuels to the stage. Hey, Miss Monique, how are you?
Hello, I'm great, y'all. Look, I had to grab my water too. I was like, hold on, let me get mine just in case I need to take a little swig.
Right.
I know that's right. I
And
know
you
that's right.
will.
All right, Miss Monique, we're going to go ahead and just hop right on into things. We know that you were previously a part of Real Housewives of Potomac, and now primarily you're over here on Love and Marriage DC. And it's really about the couples, the marriages. So could you just tell us more about you and Chris and how you guys met? Like, give us, for the people that may not know, the background of your relationship.
Yeah, so Chris and we actually met when I was like 19, back in 2003 when I first moved to the DC area. So what brought me here was music. So I wanted to pursue a career in music. My entertainment attorney was here. My sister was here. Chris at that time was thinking about starting a music label. And one of our clients from the law firm I worked at was his business partner. So we met on some music stuff, on some professional stuff, and we remained friends for years. And then we started just hanging out as friends and started dating, fell in love, dated for 6 years before we got married. And now we have 3 children and we have been married for 10 years. So dated 6, married 10.
Okay.
Forever.
Yes, forever.
Right.
That sounds like me and Lyric a little bit,
Yeah.
We got married 6 years and
Yeah.
child, a whole
Yeah.
bunch of other things too, girl. But
No, I was like, check. I was feeling the same way. Yep.
yeah.
When
So-
you meet that person at 19, that timeline is a little bit longer. Yep.
It is, because we met around that time too. Actually, on my 18th birthday was when we met.
Oh, wow.
So, but so okay. We always talk about you and Chris, but how are your children? How have they been lately? Because when we saw them this season, I was like, oh my God, her son, like so big. He's getting into the voice thing. I'm like, oh my God. Like
They
so
are
cool.
growing up. It is insane. So Christopher is 9, but he outweighs me and he's almost my height. So he's big just like dad. Milani she just long legs all day. Chase is just as big as he wants to be. And I just know that I'm going to be the shortest person in the house and it's okay. I'm accepted. But they're doing good. They're homeschooled. They're happy. They just literally finished up their swimming lesson. We earlier today we dropped off. We rescued a baby raccoon. So we finally found a sanctuary to take him to, and we just dropped him off. We had a busy day today. It was like nonstop. Yeah, and the kids are in their programs, boxing, dance, all kind of athletics. So it's always nonstop around here.
Okay.
Did you rescue the baby
really
raccoon
good.
today?
No.
I actually had him for like 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
You was going to keep him, weren't you? You was going to keep him.
No.
Okay.
No. And it's so funny because
I was on the live. So
oh my God. I'm an avid animal lover, but a raccoon, no, because I already know once they get into their little moments of heat, they kind of get a little aggressive. I got 3 young kids and, that's a wild animal. I just wanted to make sure that he wouldn't get killed. He could barely walk and, I did my part. I found a guy that rehabs and releases to the wild. So I was able to make the connection. So I'm happy.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
I did cry last night though.
I feel you because I love animals too.
It's giving Snow White. Like it's definitely giving, you know what I'm saying?
Very
Snow White.
much.
I love it though. I love
animals.
Okay, so I want
Mhm.
to ask a question real quick to piggyback off the kids, because I remember your son saying when you got the job at the radio station, and he was like, "Now everybody that can't stand her will hear her talk all the time." And I
That was
was just,
funny.
so I was like, he knows how people feel about you, and that kind of made me like wonder how are they like handling that type of thing? Because I feel like
Mhm.
I would want to fight everybody if they were talking about my mama. Like,
Mhm.
He kind of, I think because I mean, they were kind of raised on TV. It's crazy. So they kind of look at things as they kind of grew up with it. They kind of know that people have different opinions about mommy and daddy, and they don't really think too much of it. They just know that they love mommy and daddy. We're great people. They know the other side. Christopher, because he's the oldest, he knows a lot more than he should because he knows he. But he's so funny, as if they can't just change the station.
Right.
right.
It's hilarious.
So, what was the biggest lesson that you learned in therapy, whether it was about yourself or about your marriage?
Oh gosh. So many lessons in therapy. We haven't had marriage counseling in quite a while. We've been doing therapy on our like by ourselves solo. So for
Mhm.
me, I'm a person where if there's something that's not right, I'm going to get down to the bottom of it. Like I'm
Mhm.
relentless, whether it's regarding me or whatever the situation is, especially regarding me. I want to just fix it. I want to figure out what it is so that I don't have to repeat it again. So I think my biggest lessons was just dealing with myself. I've been on this whole spiritual journey, just trying to understand who I am, deal with some childhood trauma issues, and figure out why I respond the way I respond, what my triggers are, all those things. So it's a never-ending journey. But I would have to say my biggest lesson that I've learned in therapy recently has just been to drop the ego. It's like definitely that's been my whole theme. Not that I've ever been a person that's super egotistical, but you always have a little bit in yourself that is there that always wants to kind of please other people. And I'm a huge people pleaser. And one of my biggest lessons was time out for trying to please everybody else. I need to make sure that I'm whole and happy because I am enough and I don't have to prove myself to everybody else. I can be me. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. And that's fine.
Mhm.
Can I piggyback right quick, y'all?
Go
'Cause
ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you said the therapy part, and this is something that I said in my review, and I wanted to ask you about it because it's a lot like me. So when you said like the childhood trauma and the people pleasing, like the realization for me was realizing that I kind of grew up in an abusive situation.
Okay.
And not kinda, like I
Okay.
did. Like I have to stop like doing that. That's a thing that I like
Mhm.
to do, like not really say what it was, but like no, I literally was abused by a parent
Wow.
and a sibling. And that's really tough to say because people, but at the end of the day, I know it's the reason why I have such a hard time with people and trying to, I want them to like me, but at the same time, you have this energy. I can't give a fuck though, but I want people to like me, and I hate getting misunderstood about things. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like it was a lot of things that I was watching, and I don't know if you want to share it, but I guess I was wondering, was it similar to mine as like the trauma for why you want to people please as an adult?
Yeah, honestly, my situation was a lot different. It was because I was the middle child and I'm very independent, always have been. But just because you're independent doesn't mean that you don't want that attention from mommy and daddy. So being in the middle, my sister is the first to go through everything. She's the oldest. I was the middle child. I was the baby for 6 years before my brother came along. And then he's the baby. So he's the last to go through it. So for me, it was like I was just kind of left hanging in the middle, not really get much attention because everybody looked at me like, oh, Moni got it. Moni's good. Moni always has a smile on her face. Moni always wants to do everything for everybody. She's okay. Not realizing that was my way of trying to get attention. Always trying to just supersede the expectations of what my parents had for me for school. I was a huge overachiever. And that was my way of trying to get attention. That also turned into me like just being in school, always getting in trouble, running my mouth, going off on teachers, doing all kinds of stuff like that would get me in trouble. It was like by any means necessary, I'm going to get the attention I want. So I didn't grow up in an abusive household or anything like that, but it was more so that feeling of just being alone because everybody else is being taken care of and I'm taking care of myself.
Now that is definitely like the same thing. Like when you say that, because that rings very true. Where like I literally, one of the last things my dad said about me before he passed was, "She gonna be all right. She got it." You know what I'm saying? And that was reflective of kind of the way they handled me growing up, because because I wasn't the problem child. She's okay, and they focused on the problem child. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's crazy.
Monique, I have another question. So you seem to have a really good grip of like who you are through therapy. So I wanted to know, when did you come to the realization of those things, that you were a people pleaser? Was it before you got on reality TV that you started to do the work, or do you feel like reality TV helped you dig into those things about yourself?
One thing I love about reality TV is that it is a fast track to growth. When you're able to like see yourself on TV, and a lot of times for me, it's not even the things that the viewers see. I'm seeing different things about myself that I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I did that, you know? So definitely reality TV has helped me to see myself. After I got into a physical altercation, I went on a deep dive because I realized that I thought I was a person that's very much in control, especially in control of myself. So when that happened, I've never lashed out. I've never initiated or been in a fight like that. I've been jumped before in high school. You know, I've like had fights like way back when, but nothing like that where I completely just like lost control, regardless of what someone said, did, regardless of whatever gestures. I had never experienced that before within myself. And I'm like, yo, like what in the world is going on? So I went into a very deep who am I journey. And I really wanted to get down to the bottom of it and not just, you know, scratch at the surface, because I felt like if there's something there, I need to understand it so that it doesn't happen again, or the likelihood of it doesn't happen again. And that was what kind of like allowed me to see what kind of childhood stuff I was dealing with. It was like 6-year-old Monique just jumped out. At 6 years old is when my little brother was born. That's when I wasn't the baby anymore. So yeah, I can definitely say reality TV kind of really helped push it. I've always been a person that had high self-esteem. I've always been confident in myself. But like everybody else, we all have work we need to do.
Of course. I have a question for you regarding Chris and really the fans, because we saw on the show where Chris kind of felt like you bash him. And I don't know if the fans felt that way or viewers or whatever. I don't know if they felt that way and like genuinely, or they were just taking on what he had to say as far as bashing him. But what are your thoughts about that, about him feeling like you bash him and just the fans just also thinking the same thing?
What's interesting about that is whenever you use the word on reality TV, that's what the fans and viewers are going to stick to. So if Chris uses the word bash and he's talking to his wife who he knows, and he's like, you always bashing me when I'm not around. First of all, you don't even know the conversations that I'm having about you when you're not around. And when I said I was complaining about him, as always, it wasn't a bash. As you saw, if they have footage of me bashing Chris, you think they're going to show it? When they cut to the clip, it was of me just saying, I want more. I want more depth. I want more of a connection. That's not bashing. That's me yearning for more from my husband. So he made the assumption that because I used the word complaining, he thought that, oh, you must be out here bashing me. Only a person that is not doing all of what they know they need to do would think that you could possibly bash them. So that was just his terminology. I never bash my husband. Like I always, especially in the midst of company, I'm uplifting him. And most times I won't even speak on precisely the things that he needs to work on, because I feel like that's his story that he needs to share. And if I have real issues, I go directly to him. So yeah, I feel like he used that word and everybody else took it and ran with it, because not one time did you see me bash him or talk bad about him at all the entire show, because I just don't do that.
I think they think any type of criticism essentially is bashing, especially when you have like black man, educated, pays all the bills. Like that's all they see. So as soon as you don't have to deal with the everyday struggle of, then you can't complain about anything. And if you do, you're bashing him because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And it's like, it requires so much more than that. That was very frustrating for me this season to watch people respond to you and Chris, because I feel like when we did the interview on your YouTube last year, I can't remember like when it was, but I remember I was asking you like about how do you handle the marriage thing, like long term and all of that. I remember I was asking you, and then it was funny to watch you ask Arena like kind of that same thing. And I'm like, she's probably going through something similar that I was going through. So yeah, no, and I get it. So that's why it was like, no, you're not bashing them, but you do require more. And they, society wise, are not ever required to do anything deep on the inside.
Mhm.
Like, as long as they're fitting the masculine quotas, that's it. And but that's
Mhm.
not conducive to like growing together emotionally over time. You know? So I get it.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And my thing was, I was just expressing what it was that I need. And this is nothing new. Even people on RHOP, people that watch RHOP, they were like, wait, she was saying the same stuff back then. Yes, I've been saying the same stuff for 10 years. So as I approach 10 years of marriage, I'm like, yo, something has got to give. You are not hearing me. And when you are a woman that is doing everything for your household, for your children, for your husband, and you're not heard, that's a very frustrating place to be in, because it almost feels like what you're telling me that will make you feel whole and loved doesn't matter.
Mm.
But I'm supposed to make you feel whole and loved. You know, there's only an issue if you're not feeling whole or loved. But when I'm raising what's bothering me, it's like, oh, whatever, get over it. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. Not anymore.
Yeah. I think that the viewer's perception has a lot to do with the way it was presented to us, because initially it wasn't. I completely understand where you're coming from whenever you say you're requiring more. And now that the season has ended and we're looking at it and talking about it high level, it makes sense. But as the season or the episodes went on, it was like, okay, I need you to get the kids ready for school, or, oh, don't say shut up. Say, it was like little things where the audience would take it and say, okay, she's nitpicking, but overall you're still wanting the same thing from him, which makes sense.
Right. Like my husband has never in life told me to hush. So to do it in front of company at a dinner table and then in front of cameras, I was like, what? Like, wow, okay. That's what we do.
We've all had those moments.
Like, have you lost it?
Like, what is going on? And it's funny because that's that protective side. If what I was saying was an actual fact at that moment at the dinner table, but because that fact, he felt as though it make him look bad or present him in a bad light, he didn't want me to speak. So it's just like, oh, well, normally when she takes naps, she doesn't like being disturbed, but she'll go off. Yeah, but that wasn't a nap. I was sick. I was sick. That's a little different. That was the only reason I cut him off, because it's like, nah, you're not about to finagle this one. Nope. Don't make it seem like I was sick and went off because you woke me up, because that's not what happened. So that whole situation, I did feel like there was a lot of context missing. So all you see is us reacting, but you're not seeing the buildup. The very first episode, we're talking about a list. Ain't nobody seen no marriage counseling session. Ain't nobody seen no life session. Everybody's like, what list? What is this list? Like, what does that mean? Why is she asking him for a list? All of that is playing into a narrative that Monique just wants more because she's asking for a list. They don't realize that there was things that he asked me for that I did. And I was still waiting weeks and weeks for my list, which was his end of the bargain. So it's all context. It's all about just what they were able to show. And quite frankly, we deserved way more episodes because there was so much more, you know, for each scene, for each story.
Okay. So with that being said, do you feel like you're seeing those changes in Chris now? Because he said at the reunion that he watched himself and he saw it. And now he, you know, what he said, and I love what he said, is she ain't going to have to complain about the same things to me in season 2. And I was like, all right, Chris, that's what I want here. But the look on your face is telling me that you still going to be complaining about the same things in season 2.
I'm just mute. I'm just quiet. I'm just waiting. So at the end of the day, I've been hearing talk. So I'm just going to be patient, continue to be patient, and just wait, because it took us years to get to this point. It's not going to just change overnight. So, and one thing that I noticed about when I watched back the reunion, I'm listening to him, and he wasn't specific. He just said, because I'm working on things and I'm working on these issues, and, you know, and it was just like, I just want to know that you know exactly what it is that I'm bothered by. I don't want to hear the generalization talk. I'm working on these things. And what things? You know, fully understand what it is that I'm asking for, you know? So it's a work in progress. It could take 10 seasons, you know, like who knows? It's just a matter of him really locking in and then making those changes. And it's a lot of personality traits. It's a lot of stuff on the inside that has been there for a very long time. That's going to take time. It's going to be painful for him. Self-criticism is one of the hardest things ever to do. I remember having to go through that. I've gotten to a point where it doesn't bother me to pick myself apart. That's why I can be on reality TV and not be affected by the comments. That's why I can literally, I don't have to block nobody. I don't have to delete no comments. I don't have to do all of that because I'm unaffected by it. I appreciate your opinions, but I realize that the opinions are being given based off of what you're seeing, not the full story. So
I always appreciate that.
Yeah, the moment for me was that, and I'm like, dang, I gotta say this. The moment for me was whenever you were crying to Chris. I think y'all were in the bedroom earlier on whenever production had to stop, and they were like, okay, y'all talk. When you were crying to him, and then he just hugged you and said, it'll be okay. And I related to that moment because I was, yes, that's the face I made, Monique, because I was like, okay, but you still didn't get to the point. And you can tell, like, whenever you said it's his personality, you can tell he doesn't like conflict. And that's why it's hard for people to hear you say that he needs to change those things. Because initially, before, I was like, what's going on? He's not doing anything. But in the same breath, it's like, he's not doing anything. So,
Right.
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, come on now. I get it.
Especially
Yeah.
when you explain that, like how you came into his life, like with the finances thing, and like you know, basically taking control of his life in a certain aspect, and then him being in sports, they're already telling you what to do all the time. So like he's constantly had direction, and to have to direct yourself.
Bonnie, you always be hitting every nail, I swear. We just had a conversation a few days ago. Chris and I, we have these like deep talks, and then I'm like, all right, hopefully he'll stick, you know. And we just talked, and I told him, because I do a lot of, I'm a thinker. So I'm like trying to really figure it out. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where did the habit start? How was it created? All of those things. When did the shift happen or did not happen? And what I realized is when we got married, Chris retired, then we got married. I feel like I then became his coach. I did not know that. And it's not until even now where it just hit me, like literally a few days ago. I said, I stepped into a leadership, not a leadership role. I stepped into a coaching role. That's why he's always just like, all right, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Tell me what, and I'm like, dude, I don't want a robot. I want us to be equal. I want us to just handle things together. Like if you see something, handle it. Like don't wait for me to do it. I'm nonstop. I'm up at 4 a.m. I've been up since 4 a.m. I didn't go to bed last night till 11:30. So like I'm nonstop all day, you know? And my thing was, I just felt like it would have been nice if they could have shown more of a balance as to what I had going on. They just went right to Chris. So like when you see me doing a radio show, the kids wake up at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm back home at 10:30. He's not with the kids 8 to 10 hours a day, you know, like when I was a stay-at-home mom. So I'm just like, you get all the help you need. I'm just asking you to just like step more into this marriage so that we can date, so that we can, you know, like just find that spark again, and then also work on ourselves individually, you know. So it's a lot, and I know it's a lot for him because when you're in that field of just being an NFL player or any type of athlete or any just wealthy Black man in general, you're used to things being a certain way, and you're not that comfortable when it comes to change, especially when the change is required in your direction. So there's a lot, but I feel like he can handle it. It's just a matter of taking time. I don't want him to feel like he has to just do it all today. He's one of those people that he thinks Rome was built in a day. He does it with his, you know, with his workouts. He does it with his diet changes. It's like he wants to just do it and get it done. But this isn't one of those get it done situations, you know, because I'm an actual person. You know, like I'm your spouse. I'm here for you, but we got to grow through this together, you know.
Even dealing with your
That was
own,
a good example.
even like self-correcting your own shit is a struggle. Like even going to therapy, figuring it out, you still have those moments where it's like, well, should I self-correct in this moment, or should I rely on what I've always known? You know what I'm saying? Like as my response to something. That type of correction takes a lot of energy. And I feel like that's probably one of the main things is like they don't want to do all of that.
Right.
Right.
It's what it requires. And it's like, well, what are you here for essentially if you're not trying to, you know, leave here the best that you could have possibly been?
For sure.
Right,
That makes
right.
sense. I'm glad she mentioned the coach situation. She felt like she was becoming his coach when you married him. Because that just makes so much sense. Because didn't he get drafted like right out of high school or was it college?
Out of
So
college.
he's probably been focused the whole time to getting to the NFL and just being coached every which way. And now he's in this real life. He has this marriage. He has these kids. That was a good one with the
Yeah.
coaching because that's exactly what it looks like. For sure. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of on Chris' side in the beginning a little bit, but as I continue to watch, I said he does not listen to anything that she says. And I would be ultimately frustrated, like when they sat down at the theater and he brought up somebody else just to tell her how much he cares about her. And then before you could even say it in the scene, Monique, you did it again. I was like, he just did it again. And then you said he did it. I said, oh my God, I would be so frustrated with him. He doesn't. He is. Oh my God.
Like,
I will
It's tough. He don't get
I
it.
will say, watching it back, we were on the plane flying to California to film the reunion when we were watching the episodes. And as he was trying to compliment me, he gave all the negative things that he could think of and then gave me the compliment. So I pressed pause and I said, Chris, because I always tell him this all the time. I said, you got to change the way you think. Like your mindset is so negative. You always go to the negative first, or he'll compare himself with the worst. Well, I ain't out here having babies. I ain't out here doing this. I ain't in the street. I ain't sleeping with nobody. You shouldn't do that anyway.
Right.
So you should be comparing yourself with the best, not the worst. So I showed him that moment and he was just like, wow. I never realized how much I do that. Like I really do will say, yeah, sometimes she get on my nerves and she got a smart mouth and she does this, but she's a great wife. Well, what about the things that I do?
Yeah, don't lead in with the bad.
Like, I don't need to build up.
It's almost like an apology for you, especially in front of them. It felt like an apology for how you are, which I don't like that because
it was like a tear you down and then I can build you up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Especially amongst them people that was in the room.
Or maybe he thought he was. Maybe he thought he was beating the audience to the punch or beating other people's perceptions to the punch. So he had to mention everything like, yeah, y'all might think this or she does this, but still, either way,
I see what you mean. Okay.
Maybe that's what he was doing because I really do get the feeling that he doesn't like conflict, so he handles things the way that he knows best. But it's like, hold on, we got to go this way, not that way.
Right. And I was hoping that, and hopefully he'll be able to tell more of his story as we move forward. But I was brought up in a household that we were very encouraged, like we were encouraged to speak our mind. Our dad never shut us up. It was like, tell me what you think. So I'm always very comfortable with confrontation. I'm comfortable with speaking my mind. Chris he grew up in a house that's the exact opposite. So I get it. And Chris has a beautiful heart. Like he's a great man. He's a great person. He just has a lot of childhood trauma that he hasn't dealt with. And then you couple that with being in the NFL, being spoiled, being catered to, and all of those things, being in a position where you're not really forced to do that inner work. And then bam, now you have a wife that's like, let's do this. We about to work. You ready?
Right.
Let's go. So it's just one of those growing moments. And I can't wait to see the man that he becomes once he finally does that work and gets through it, because he's going to have such a testimony for people. Like I really believe it. He just has to get through it.
I totally get where you coming from too. I just, because sometimes Lyric will say something and I'll be like, look at you. Like just all proud. Like, look at you. I ain't even have to tell you that. Look at you. Like,
right. After you told him 5 times before he got it,
Then it's the idea.
Oh gosh. All right. So I'm gonna switch over to talking about winter. So what are your thoughts on the viewers feeling like you betrayed Winter's friendship by telling Arena and Ashley about the comments that she made?
Well,
do you feel like it was a betrayal?
No, we got to define what friendship is. See,
yes,
I use the word friend very loosely, and I see when I'm operating in a certain way, I make the bad decision to assume that people understand my journey and where I come from. So let's go back to the NFL world. I met Winter in the NFL world. When I refer to people as friends and then I give how long we've known each other, that doesn't mean that we have hung out. That doesn't mean that we've stayed connected the entire time. I have a lot of friends that are NFL wives and NFL girlfriends who we've stayed connected through each other or social media or not at all. But if any one of those NFL wives or girlfriends reaches out to me today and says, hey, I've actually had an NFL wife just call me out the blue, hadn't talked to her in years, and she's bawling, crying, I don't know who else to talk to. You're the only person I know will understand because of the marriage, to these NFL guys. And we talked on the phone for hours, and I haven't talked to her since. That's kind of like how it is. And we'll be in the same space doing like wives luncheons and things like that. But we've never hung out. We've never sat on the phone. We've never done anything like that. So for me, I made it very clear from the moment that I started promoting the show, and even to production as we were building the show, when I was casting everybody, I said, the people I'm sending you are people who I have social friendships with. There's some longevity in certain areas. I said, but we don't really know each other like that. And I said, and I do not want to create a show where we have these imaginary friendships and all of a sudden, bam, we're besties, like housewives. I ain't know none of them women. I met them women as soon as I walked into my very first scene, season 2, So I didn't want that. And I really wanted the audience to be able to grow and learn us as we grew and learned each other. But the one thing that I noticed is that in different scenes, Winter kept making it seem like me and her were girlfriends, and we kikied and calling me Mo. Don't nobody call me Mo. All of my childhood friends and my real friends that like know me call me Moni. Nobody calls me Monique. Nobody calls me Mo. My dad calls me Mo. But like nobody, as far as friends, call me Mo. That's not a name that anybody would use for me. That's just not it. So when I started seeing her like do things, I was talking to Mo like a girlfriend. And I'm like, but we've never done that before. So if you're coming to me, telling me a story, I'm going to take the story as face value. And then I'm going to get down to the bottom of it. When she's telling me stuff about Ashley and Arena, I don't know Ashley and Arena like that. So I'm like, okay, well, let me talk to Ashley and Arena. Then when they're telling me stuff about Winter, I'm like, I don't know her to be that way. So let me find out about Winter. I was literally in the middle of a ping pong game the entire season, but my perspective was not shown. I expressed it in scene. I expressed it in confessionals. It wasn't shown. So my whole thing is, if I am trying to forge friendships with myself and the people that are a part of this show, I need to make sure that all the information gets out. Why would I want to have Arena and Ashley be friends with somebody that had the opportunity to tell everything that she said about them behind their back and didn't take that opportunity? And now when they go back to watch the show, they're going to be looking at me like, why would you be forcing us to be in the same space as this girl, knowing what else she said about our husband, us behind our backs, this, that, and the other? When Ashley and I had that dinner with Winter, when Ashley got up to go to the bathroom, I looked at Winter and I said, those nicknames are going to be an issue. I said, are you going to address that?
I'm telling, right?
Just so you know.
At first I told her, I said, look, I ain't saying nothing because that's going to be messy. But then I thought about it and I was like, why should I carry the burden of crap she said about them? I said, man, screw that. I'm telling. So I told him, and then I told her that I told them. So it wasn't like she was thrown under the bus. She got her heads up.
I mean, essentially, she should know whenever you say something on camera, it's gonna make it back to the people you said it about. Like, I don't even understand why there was a pretense from the very beginning that anything she said would have been a secret. I also feel like I don't care. And listen, I like Winter, but this is the part we gonna have to disagree on.
Her comedy. I had
but
no
what if
idea that she was so funny, that she was so with the clapback. I did not know her to that extent at all. Like, I had no idea. She's hilarious.
She is, and she's she's a talkative person. You want to hear her talk, so she got that with her. But when y'all sat down to have that conversation, I don't know why everybody else didn't hear it the way I heard it, because I feel like she absolutely explained it to you like she was saying that shit to them. Like, girl, I told her. Like, to me, she never, and I know this because whenever I have conversations and I'm saying some shit that I thought, I'll be like, now I didn't say this.
Right. You gotta make it clear.
So she never said that. And I was like, no, it sounded like you were saying that, you said these things to them. So I never thought that you misunderstood anything about that conversation. Okay.
I was blown away as I'm telling the story. And I said, and the funny thing is, I wish they could have showed that whole lunch uncut because it was that crazy and hilarious. And it was just crazy. But she kept telling me that they ambushed her. But they didn't show her saying that to me at the lunch. I wouldn't just make up the word. So when I told it to the women, I was like, I said, yeah, she told me that y'all like ambushed her. And they're like, what? And I'm like, okay, so tell me your version. And they're like, no, you tell us what she said. So of course, that with editing, they're not going to show all of that. So yeah, I'm like, okay. And I knew right then I probably should have just shut up. But I was like, shoot, all right, well, this is what she told me. Right then I knew, I was like, something must not be all. So they're telling me the story. And I'm like, wait, so y'all ain't talk about the husbands and rumors? And they're like, wait, what? What's she saying about our husbands? I'm like, oh, shoot. I done put my foot in my mouth. But it was just weird because if I've only ever had conversations with Winter that were about relationships, life coaching on my podcast, that's how I was able to like suggest her for the show, is because we did 2 episodes on my Not for Lazy Moms podcast called Love After Divorce. And she talked about what she had went through with her prior marriage. And then she talked about her new marriage. So that's how I was able to refer her to this show, because I knew she was newly married, and the guy that she is married to or was married to, I knew him longer than her. We used to go to church together. So it's just crazy how these things work out. But I have never engaged with her in a friendly context, a sisterly context, other than our platforms. And it was always me reaching out, like, hey, would love to promote, whatever. So we didn't have that friendship. And that was the one thing about the season that I didn't like, was the fact that she was almost acting as if we did. So that would obviously make the viewers feel like, oh, here Monique go again. No, RHOP, fake friendships. I was able to foster sisterhoods with 2 of the ladies, Karen and Ashley, but everybody else, like, I didn't know them. So I'm not going to give them the same care and, that I would friends who are actually my friends, So it was just crazy. And I was just like, I never one time talked bad about anybody on the show. Like, not one time did I say anything bad about Winter. Not one time did I say anything bad about Ashley or Raina. I didn't throw nobody under the bus. I just was like, look, that's not the Winter I know. I don't know her that way. And I can't take away from what you experienced with her. And that was that,
So it's safe to say that Winter is more of an associate than she is a friend, and she's continuing to be in that category.
Right. We've always been associates, and maybe I should have used that word, but that word is just so informal. Like, I don't like saying associate, but I'm about to start using associate for people who are my associates, because clearly friend is a huge word for people. Yeah. I look at it as just levels to friendship,
Yeah.
So what did you think, now that you say that? I'm thinking back to whenever you were sitting down with Winter. I think you were at her house or she was at yours. And she said that she wished that you were there for her more when she was going through what she did with Kevin. So
I thought she was talking about there for her more when she was dealing with the ladies.
No, it was one scene where she said that I think she told you that she went through a divorce, or she was about to get a divorce with Kevin, but she felt like you didn't tap in and ask her how she was doing. You just kind of glossed over it, like, oh, okay. And
yeah, like the pain that she was going through. Yeah, because remember, after y'all had that conversation with everybody, and it was like, well, tell them the pain that you were going through so they can understand why you will be acting out in this way. That's kind of what it was.
Right. So that scene.
Right. So here's what you can understand about Winter. She's a very strong woman, and most strong women don't show you when they're in a weak moment. So the only person I've ever seen is this Winter, cheesing, smiling, and just like, she would tell us about the situation with Kevin and would be laughing. So I don't see pain there. I see that you've gotten over it, and now you're just dealing with the divorce. I didn't know about all the other stuff that was going on behind closed doors, nor did she share it with anybody. So when she was at that moment, when I was at her house, she had been going back and forth with him, and it was getting overwhelming. So I would not know to check in, because even when I do check in, you say everything's fine. I can only believe what you say. And the way things were carrying on, she wasn't really showing me anything other than that night that was like emotional. So I had no idea. And that's why I said to her, I said, if I couldn't pick up on it, and I'm more familiar with you and I know you, they definitely ain't picking up on it, So that's why I made that statement, because my whole thing is, I have moments where I'm overwhelmed and I feel weak and I feel defeated. I will say that. I will literally say, yo, I am overwhelmed. Like, I feel like real defeated right now. I won't just keep going and smiling and everything's great. Everything's great. Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I wouldn't do that. So how am I to know that he needs more support if she doesn't make it clear or acts as if everything's okay?
So with that, let me ask this about that vegan dinner. How did you feel about the vegan dinner? Because to me, it felt like that was the moment to me where it was too much as far as I'm concerned. The jokes from, DJ Quicksilver. And even though I understood what Ashley was asking, because how are you going to say that you do this, but you didn't do your background check? But when she was saying that she felt like they took what she was saying about Kevin and made it about her, I absolutely feel like they did that in that scene. So I want to know how you felt about that vegan dinner, with the fact that you were there.
Right. So here's the thing, and I'm being 100% real with you. When we were sitting down and we started talking about all of that drama with Kevin, it was in a very playful tone. It wasn't in a tone where it's like, yeah, this man scammed me. I can't believe it. It was very much joking. It was very much like laughter. Like, yep, he living in his mama basement. Like, it was like that. It didn't flip until Ashley started questioning her from her perspective. So if you're at a dinner and you're telling us all of this bad stuff about a person who's not there to represent themselves, we hear that part. But now Ashley's like, okay, but on the other side, how could you marry somebody and you've never been to their house and you didn't know them? Like, how could you go there? And she basically would give her explanations for it. It didn't get heated until the questions were asked in her direction. We ain't had no more questions for Kevin. She done gave us all the information, So it was more just like she was asking the questions that people wanted to know. I never asked her those questions because I didn't even know that much detail. I didn't know how long they were dating. I didn't know that she never been to her house. She never shared that with me. I only heard the scamming and the struggle after the fact, So I felt like in a one-sided situation, Ashley and Quick were probably like, well, I want to get the full story. And whether it was delivery, whether it was bad timing, who knows? But in that moment, it didn't feel as heated as what y'all saw. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we were all drinking. We were having fun. Like, we were lit. Like, we were having a good old time. We were filming for hours. I don't even think everybody left until like after midnight. And then we flew to Africa the next day.
So do you feel like because to me, it still felt like even those first couple episodes after the vegan dinner, it seemed like you felt the need to defend Winter to everybody. Like, so if you felt the need to defend her, you had to feel like they were coming at her in some respect.
The only thing that I felt was a trigger that night was when Ashley made the comment about how are you a relationship coach and blah, 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 blah.
So quick jokes and all of that. Y'all thought that was just light?
No. When she said that, I knew that was going to be an issue. I felt it because I was like, anytime you come for a person's career, you already know. But my whole thing was what they didn't show also is Windsor FaceTimed me the next day. And she brought that up. And as soon as she brought it up, I said, I knew that was going to be an issue. I said, look, if you were triggered and you felt bothered about that, address it. This way you can be done with it, But what happened is she addressed it. Ashley apologized and she still never got over it. You see what I'm saying? So it's so much more to that. Could it have gone a different way? Absolutely. But when I tell you, we are drinking it up, we're laughing, we're joking. In the moment, it didn't feel that bad. That was literally the only thing that stood out to me that I was like, oh, this is going to be an issue when she said about the relationship coach and you in unsuccessful relationships. That's when I knew it was going to be a problem. So, and that just from there, it just took on a life of its own and spilled over into other people's marriages and rumors and this, that, and the other, and still is spilling over even onto social media as of yesterday.
I mean, we'll get to the receipts portion because we have a question for that. So I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
Okay. I will say about defending Winter, the reason why I was defending her is because I could see both sides. I'm a Libra. I'm always gonna see both sides, So I could see why Winter was triggered, and on the other side, I could see why Ashley was asking the questions, So I didn't want it to be unbalanced. I'm like, I feel where she's coming from. But the whole like taking blows at the marriage, that's just, I ain't here for that. Like that if you ain't gotten overseas and you ain't gonna deliver in overseas, then don't even bring it up. Like, don't even mention the mere word rumor can just start issues, especially on reality TV. It's like, why? So that I'm not down with, but everything else I wanted it to be balanced.
Okay.
So do you like at any point behind the scenes, even though, Ashley asked the question. There were rumors being kind of like, insinuated through there. Do you think Ashley ever gave Winter any type of fair chance at really getting to know her? Because even when they sat down at the luncheon, and I think Ashley apologized, it still was like, girl, I don't rock with you like that. And it seemed like it was really based off of that vegan dinner. Do you think she ever really gave her a chance?
She did. What they don't show is Ashley asking about Winter all the time. Like when we had the vegan dinner, me and Ashley, remember we had that scene at lunch and it was just me and Ashley. And I said, I'm thinking about having a couples dinner. And Ashley's like, oh, are you going to invite Winter? And I was like, you know what? No, I don't think so, because it's going to be just couples. But then later on, I was like, you know what? It would be good for Winter to be there and meet everybody and share her story and this, that, and the other. So I ended up inviting Winter. After they had the lunch, when Winter was telling me the whole story about what happened at the lunch when I got back from the motherland, she made it seem to me that she didn't know whether or not Ashley had uninvited her to her event. So Ashley had extended invitations to everybody, including Winter, and she even said, I want to know more about Winter. I don't care about Kevin. I want to know what you like. What do you like? Long walks in the park? Do you like this, that, and the other? So they got to a point where they were like joking and laughing, like, okay, let's start over. So I actually texted Ashley in that scene and I said, hey, is it okay if Winter still comes to your event? And she responded and was like, oh yeah, I don't have her number. Can you forward her the invitation? So I looked at Winter and I was like, she seems like she's fine. And Winter was like, I don't know. I think I'm uninvited. I don't know. And I said, all right, well, she said you can come. So it's up to you if you want to come. So she came because she was invited by Ashley. So she was giving her chances. Y'all just didn't see those chances.
I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you, girl, you could say that all day. I don't think that lady liked Winter from the beginning. I'm gonna just say it. She could ask about her, but at the very first sit down at your podcast, she was sitting up there rolling her eyes and doing all of this other stuff. Her and Lorena was talking about the girl. I mean, even Lorena and Ashley was shading each other in that scene, but it just.
But you know how editing works, like the eye roll, the laughing, cutting and pasting at different times. That can all be, I could say that Winter was coming for Ashley at the podcast event when she said, oh, your husband's the DJ. Like I could say that's a dig. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at it both ways, but when they start piecing that stuff together, and honestly, when Ashley said she was bored, she was talking about me. She said I was talking too much.
Oh, so they edited to make it seem like she was talking about Winter. But
right, because
okay.
When they're putting these episodes together, it's after they already seen that there are drama and issues brewing between the two of them. So now they're going to edit it the way that they want to edit it so that you can build up to what they know you're ultimately going to see. I went through that with the fight with Candace. Me and Candace didn't have any issues leading up to that fight. That fight was purely off of her putting her hand in my face and I flipped. But they had to create scenes to make it seem like we had all this issue building up, taking scenes out of order, all of that. Like I've witnessed this. I
know they shoot out of order. I know they shoot out of order. I know they do that, child. They do that all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, am I next? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, girl, listen, the conversation's just been flowing, so I didn't lose track, child. Okay. So, did you feel that the reunion comments from Silva to Winter was appropriate or warranted? Like that situation got very heated. And you was on Twitter and you was like, he wasn't doing all of that. And it kind of felt like he was doing all of that. So what did you feel about that?
I know the backstory to that whole situation. The guy who they were referring to, she went live with him. And this is the guy that she's been seeing, right? So they're on, I guess, Instagram Live and they're making these
he's
comments.
Been on a couple of her.
Yeah. The same guy knows someone that has a mutual friend with Quick, and he's reaching out to Quick like, can you please ask your wife to keep Winter's name out of her mouth? She's having mental breakdown. She won't eat. She's on the bathroom floor. He's saying all of this stuff to Quick. Quick is like, listen, your girl is the one that keeps talking about my wife. My wife was fine with her at the premiere party. She's the one that started all of the social media stuff, making comments. He said, tell her to keep my wife's name out of her mouth. And everything will be fine. Like, why are you acting like her response is her starting this? No, she started it. So they were going back and forth. So basically, Quick got heated because he knew that the guy wasn't at the reunion. He was there in LA with us. with her, and he knew he was there. So he's basically like talking to him to Winter, like tell that B da 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 da, not you, tell it to him. He kept saying that over and over again, and I understood where he was coming from. He's frustrated, but he's not coming at Winter. He know Ashley can handle that. He was talking about the dude. So my whole thing is everybody in that room understood that he was talking about the dude, because we got to a moment where Carlos then had to ask everybody, like, wait, pause. What is happening? I don't even know the backstory. Explain this to me. And everybody stopped and we started explaining what was happening, or not we, because I wasn't a part of it. They started explaining the backstory to what Quick was getting upset about and what Winter was talking about and all this other stuff. So for her to tweet out saying that she needed security, that she felt threatened, all of that, I was like, come on, girl, that's cap. Like, we all had a moment where we sat and talked about it, and she understood that he wasn't talking directly to her. He was upset with the dude who had reached out to him. It was just a bunch of mess.
But it did come off like he was talking to her, because even your husband had to check him and put him in his place, because he was like, that's a woman.
My husband knows reality TV. So we'll just leave it at that. He didn't want Quick to look bad because he knows how editing works. So he's like, just remember, that's the lady. They could have edited that scene. Thank God for the captions. They could have edited that scene to make it look like he was talking to her. He's saying
they could have. I watched
initially it seemed like that, and then he made sure he gave emphasis to say he was talking about the guy.
But he was still talking to her. He was yelling at her. So for me, the aggression was still pointed in her direction. And
it did look like she got ganged up on a bit.
It did.
It did.
Listen, one thing about me, I've been doing this for a little bit. If you come to a reunion saying you got receipts, you got to show them receipts. The only way you can
y'all would have wanted her to show it. Y'all would have wanted her to put
agree with that
shit out on the table, because I feel like nobody really wants that.
No, what I'm saying is the only way you're gonna shut anybody up is by showing the receipts. Like, I'm a living testimony of that. If I would have sat there and just said, "Yep, I got receipts," everybody would have kept coming at me. No, I'm gonna shut all of y'all up because I got receipts on all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only way that you can shut people up. I've had moments being in the hot seat. But if you're stirring up the most drama, you got to expect that all of that's going to come at you at reunion. You can't go around talking about people's husbands, talking about cheating, talking about you got videos, pictures, this, that, and the other, and not expect to be in a hot seat. So while I understand what people are saying, they're like, oh, that was a gang up. She brought that on herself. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't come with all of that heat on social media. You getting on Carlos's show, talking most stuff. And now you're in front of these people and you expect them to just sit there and smile at you. Like, you have been very bold in your delivery and all of the stuff that you've been talking about. And then you don't have anything to back it up. Like, I couldn't even sit there and say something. Even Chris at the end was just like, can't do that. Like, what we supposed to do?
I agree.
Can we at least get y'all to agree or admit that Ashley said there were rumors before Winter even brought it up? Like, Ashley said she heard rumors about her husband during the vegan dinner. And I feel like he's a DJ. There are going to be rumors. This is a reality show. There are going to be rumors because Love and Marriage fans are terrible. They will go and dig your shit up. So, you see what Love and Marriage Huntsville goes through. So I'm just trying to understand how all of it gets placed on Winter and none of it gets placed on the way she was, I guess, reacted to. I can understand Ashley going at her. We can disagree. You can argue. But I feel like Ashley should not have had to put her hand on Quick for him to calm down. That was a lot. And I feel like at the end of the day, he could have his feelings, but he didn't have to, he a bitch, not her. Like, no. Just don't even do all that.
It was aggression.
It was aggression.
But I just feel like when it came to like Quick, I agree with that. Like, yeah, Ashley shouldn't have put her hand on him or whatever to calm him down. But when it comes to the rumors, I do understand where Monique is coming from with that, because although Ashley heard rumors, what's her name? I forgot the girl name that Quick. Winter just came, like she had specific things. That's how she presented it. So if you're going to present it that way, it's like, then what you got? So it's one thing to hear general rumors, but when you coming from an angle like you got some specific, at this point, we tired of talking. Like, what you finna show us?
Right.
So I definitely understood that.
Remember at Ashley's event, all of that back and forth they were doing, and Ashley was like, I would never, she said, being what you had been through with your first husband, I would never come at somebody talking about, oh, I heard about, and she's like, because my husband, she said something about like something to the extent of like my husband ain't cheating on me or whatever. And Winter kept saying, oh, you sure? Oh, you sure? Like in the heat of the moment. So the mention of the rumor, that conversation that they had was different from being at lunch and Winter telling me, yeah, we all heard rumors about Quick. And I'm like, what? I ain't heard no rumors about.
Uh-oh. Monique froze for a second.
Damn.
It froze. Okay, there we go. You froze. You froze right when you said I ain't hear no rumors. It froze.
Froze, yeah.
Oh, dang. What part did I? I'm like, early ball. At the moment where
Winter said everybody heard rumors about Quick or something.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm like, I ain't never heard no rumors about Quick, and she said, oh, you don't get out the house enough. If you're making comments like that, that sounds like you know something. And then if you're also taking jabs in the midst of back and forth saying, you sure about that? You sure you know about your husband? Like, come on. So my thing, I'm this way. I don't address other people's husbands. Okay. I don't talk to other people's men. I talk directly to the woman. Any situation I might have with you, I'm going to direct it. I'm not even going to come for the man unless I really got to go through you to get to him. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in those situations. But she is directly at reunion telling these men that I heard rumors about you. I have video, picture, She ain't talking to the women no more. She's talking directly to these men who have forgiven her, welcomed her in. They wasn't even being mad at her when they all came to Newburgh. It was more so the women that was just like, the men was just like, whatever. But to be on a reunion stage and say to these men, yes, I have pictures, video, and records on all of you.
Was she supposed to lie?
But my whole point is you're directing your words directly to these men. You're like, if she was up there with somebody and they were able to kind of like navigate that with her, it probably would have been a little different. But you're up there by yourself and you're bold enough to tell these men that I have this, then you got to shut them up. Like, you got to, or just don't say anything. Like,
and I feel like
I don't do the whole rumor mill thing. I'm only going to speak what I know are facts and what I can back up. And that's my track record on reality TV. I don't ever talk about what I don't know to be true because it always ends up like a big mess like this, you know?
It seemed like she had to say something because Carlos asked her a series of questions, like 3 questions to try to get to the meat of it, and we couldn't get to the meat of it. But my question for you, having to do with this situation, is it sounds like you did your best to be the Libra that you are and see balance both sides up until she went against the pack by bringing up the rumors. But from a lot of people's perspectives, it seemed like a lot of the couples were already against Winter before she even mentioned the rumors. So would you agree with that, or would you disagree and say that it was purely the rumors that took it to another level?
Totally disagree. We had some great moments even before all of that mess went awry. And nobody came on this show thinking that the whole season is going to be about this issue with Winter. This is love and marriage. Like, we literally were looking forward to just like being couples and doing a lot of things and showing our family, exposing our businesses, which we didn't really get to see none of. But that's what we did all season. So this whole back and forth with Winter is just a portion of what we filmed. There was a lot more. Nobody was tripping off her like that, you know, especially the men. But it started getting out of hand. But everybody was very welcoming. And even when I was like, you know, she's coming to the lake house, this and the other, people were still like, but they still went along with it. You know, they were still welcome into it. So she brings great energy to the show and she's a fun person. It was just that one thing. And then to keep repeatedly bringing it up, even Chris and I off camera sat down and we called her and we talked to her for a very long time and just explained to her, like, you know, with reality TV, when you say stuff like that, it can look like this, that, or the other. We've been there. We shared our experience with her. We had a very well out talk with her. And then to still continue to do it means that you made a decision to do it. Like, you know what you're doing, you know, so you can't be the aggressor and the victim. Like, you can't do both. So my whole thing, like, I had to kind of like back off of it because it was like, I'm fighting a losing battle. I keep saying this ain't the Winter I know, but all they're experiencing is that Winter. So what am I supposed to do? Like, so I'm just like, I can't take away from what y'all experience.
I mean, listen, I guess it was editing because for me, it just seemed like they just really didn't like her. And I felt like the DJ Fun Size and the Red Light Special comments were really small. It was low hanging fruit. It wasn't even that deep. and they took it and like from then on, oh, you're talking about rumors, when actually she didn't really say anything concrete about rumors until we got to the reunion, and she said that, you know, the whole thing about Quick and the girl that worked at Park and all of that situation. So as far as like, were you gonna ask the question about, was that your question?
I was going to ask about the pact because
Okay,
Winter mentioned that the rest of the couples knew that there was a pact not to talk about rumors in their marriages. And she said that she didn't know about it until later on when y'all called her on the phone. So the phone call that you're referencing, is that when she found out about the so-called pact?
That was right after. First of all, it wasn't really a pact. It was, we all had dinner celebrating the fact that we're about to start filming. And we just said, like, based on our experience with reality TV, we're not coming on this show to destroy marriages or destroy families. So that, if you want to call it a pact, that was the pact. Like, we're not trying to destroy each other. We're not trying to tear each other down. And we should walk away from this show with a great experience. We might have highs and lows in the middle of it, but our family is going to be intact and our marriage is going to be intact. That's not what we're here for. That was that. When she started with all of the rumor stuff, after that blow up with her and Ashley, I called both of them, you know, to check up on them and make sure they were good.